with your call for a Department of Justice investigation of the SPD. Bring us up to date, bring us up to speed, explain to everybody who may not know, why do you want that?
I believe that we need an external investigation. I believe that any local law enforcement is too close to the word of the day is entanglement. And I think that there's entanglement. Y'all can Google Jada and Will and find out entanglement later. That was my joke for the day. Maybe I'll get a few more in. But look, what I'm thinking is that the closer you are, the more likely there is to be bias. And when you start trying to research who's the most appropriate department or agency to do it, you either start looking for like a private law firm, and that would have to be like a big firm. And then I have also researched and found that there are agencies made up of subject matter experts, retired professionals like consultants that have law enforcement and legal backgrounds that also do this sort of work, that are familiar with the consent decree aspects of what the DOJ does. But ultimately, the best agency would be the Department of Justice to do this. Now, the reason I'm asking for it is because I'm concerned that we may have an inordinate number of complaints and an inordinate use of force. And I think that it might not seem like a problem inside because of the training. So if you're training people in a way that they're going to be twice as likely to use a defense tactic and a de-escalation tactic, you're going to be more than likely having these issues. So, and by issues, I mean civilian complaints, but also it seems there might be some whistleblowers happening anonymously because of fear of retaliation. When you add that to the number of people on leave right now for investigations of disciplinary issues, and some of these are criminal, when you add all that together, it makes me believe that we need an external investigation into how we do everything.
Do you want the DOJ to investigate the deaths of Anthony Childs, Tommy McLaughlin, Wavy Austin, etc.?
No. This is the thing. It's not a specific case I need them to investigate. I think that the cases are a symptom. So from the first time I went on your show to talk about anything with reform, up until now, I have gotten so many calls from people who are concerned and have had issues that they don't feel satisfied with how they were handled. I've had white men and women tell me about times when they feel like the police used excessive force against them and they were too afraid to speak out about it. I've had families come to me and talk about the way that investigations were not handled satisfactorily with their family member who may have died or been killed. There's something where we're saying, no, everyone's doing what they were trained to do. We're doing our best. We're trying really hard. But it's not adding up to good closure rates. It's not adding up to customer satisfaction. And we're being sued, you know? Mm-hmm. So y'all were talking about criteria with the DOJ. I heard that. Now, Robert, if you're going to say something like, well, LeVette's just going to call, but hey, y'all, I need y'all to come in, you have to say Princess LeVette when you do that.
No, my question was, so I was being kind of serious. Do you pick up the phone?
No, it's a serious thing.
And say, hello, DOJ, this is LeVette.
Kind of do.
Yeah, how does that work?
You actually kind of do. I actually have been doing a lot of research that's led me to different groups that do reform work across the country. And I was given the name of a special agent in the Civil Rights Division, who I called and kind of gave the list of issues that we're having and did file what would be ultimately become a formal report. Now, what they're looking for as far as issues where they think that they need to come in and do an investigation is, it really is things like use of excessive force, number of people on leave, number of citizen complaints, all of these things. If they start to see that there are a certain number of red flags, they'll say, yes, you definitely need an investigation.
So
but
it's
then
not
it
just
becomes,
it's not just for
but wait,
civil.
but then it's triage. Hold on, but then it's triage. They get such a high volume that it doesn't become a matter of do you have a legitimate complaint. It's whether or not you're severe enough that they need to drop everything and stop to come see you before they see somebody else.
It's not just for civil rights violations then. It's for how is your department performing and are they following the law?
But this is the thing. If you're not performing well and following the law, ultimately it's a civil rights issue, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Our civil liberties are at risk when our police are not performing up to par. And the thing is, I want y'all to remember, this is not about slapping someone. It's not about pointing fingers. And it's always when people are saying, well, why would you even bring that up if you didn't think that was a part of it? Ha ha, joke's on you. Our police officers, if my dad were still working, I would be worried for him. He would be stressed out and he'd be ready to quit every day. We have police officers that are retiring before they finish their drop programs. They're leaving money on the table to leave because they're so frustrated. We have people quitting. They're quitting work.
Do you fill out forms? Do you? Is it like a phone interview? Do
you first have to get the counsel?
Does the DOJ attorneys do they talk to
Aaron,
other people?
Listen.
Hang on a second.
Aaron.
Just let me ask the question first.
She's got a resolution before the council. She's got to pass that first.
Okay, but I just want to know.
I've already talked to them. I did that. That's the first part of a formal report. We're doing this resolution. Hopefully today that will pass. And then they'll probably engage with us to ask more questions and look through enough of our records and enough of the complaints to say whether or not this is something that they can actually
that's kind of my question. How do you make that case? And who helps you make that case?
It's data. It's the data. They're going to look through the leave. Like, y'all talked about that list that we here, your Shreveport group did. They're going to be looking at that kind of leave, but they're going to go back farther than 6 months. And they're going to look at things like sick leave in addition to people that are out for administrative leave. Okay. They're going to look at the number of internal affairs complaints that are coming, like internally, and that are coming from citizens. They're going to start talking, and then when they do the actual investigation, they're going to talk to members of the community. They're going to talk to other stakeholders in the criminal justice community, and then they're going to do a full audit of everything.
I have not viewed your entire news conference, but let me read you a quote from yourself. Our community does not feel safe. Our homicide rate is set to triple this year, but that is not the only concern. Our community members do not trust the police. Those are some strong statements. People don't realize our homicide rate is as high as it is right now.
I don't think they do. And here's the deal. Remember, this is a long time ago, but very early on in my city council career, we were talking about, I don't even remember what it was we were talking about, but I looked at the mayor, I'm like, they don't trust us. We have to, you earn the trust. So here's the deal. People say, and I've heard it a number of times, you call the police with a complaint about a neighbor. The police literally come talk to you about it, go next door, and then point to your house and say they just called and complained about you. They might be doing it like absent-mindedly. Now, it's one thing if you're having a fight or your music is too loud, but what if they're calling you in because you've basically been a drug house or because they're pretty sure you're the one that shot the person down the street a week ago?
So my question was going to be, how is there a relation between the murder rate and what you see as
if witnesses won't come forward because they feel like they're going to be vulnerable, if the witnesses don't believe that the information that they're going to give you is going to lead one to a successful arrest and successful punishment, and if they feel like you're not going to be able to give your information anonymously.
Another LeVette quote. You ready? Something is rotten in our department. Who's to blame? Who's to blame for being rotten?
That's quoting Hamlet. Something is rotten in the state of Denmark. It was a good line. You caught it. I don't think that that's the reason you do the investigation. So you can't say, I've got the feeling that something isn't right. I'm not the only one that feels that way. But quite frankly, on the number of phone calls and emails I've gotten and messages I've gotten from people who are sharing their issues. I've been hearing from attorneys about some of these things as well.
If I have a rotten apple in my fruit bin, I throw it out. Does someone need to be thrown out?
Aaron, I get that I'm taking the long way around my answers, but here's the deal. You have to actually parse the information and do the investigation to find out what's going on. I don't think it's a matter of one person. I think it's a culture. I think it's a culture of how we train and then how we place people after training. I think it's a matter of how the people in leadership were trained, how they view the issues, how they respond to the issues, and ultimately how those same people investigate the issues and report those investigations.